SK picked it up last game and did well with it, in my opinion. They played well around it, especially in the early game. Of course, they didn't win the game though, so G2 might consider it less of a priority pick. Black, Rhyme and Crow, very standard picks, and as you said, the Black for the first pick for SK, such a flexible hero that you can pick as a first pick.
Interesting to see this Grace now getting banned so frequently. It was a pick that the first few weeks wasn't really seen. Didn't have a ton of priority from any of these teams, but then had a couple of games last week where it started to get some really serious results, and I think teams realized, okay, it may not be the 40% damage reduction that she used to have, but 30% damage reduction is still a pretty impressive number.
Yeah.
And of course, the Divine Intervention's as effective as ever. So it makes sense that we're seeing this Grace get a little bit more priority put on her.
And I think a large part of that as well is specifically in conjunction with the Black Feather, right? Because she enables the Black Feather playstyle so damn well that when you're G2, you really don't want them to grab that on. But then Arden does as well. Arden equally strong, I would say, in the current meta. But SK taking a long time to consider this ban.
I think that's because the Kestrel is still open. They want to ban something that's more of a priority pick in general in 2.9, such as the Alpha, such as the Churnwalker that we just talked about, and the Vox. But G2, how they played Kestrel last game and how Hundor plays around that pick in general, it makes you debate whether do we want to go for a target ban or a priority ban. They chose the Vox. Is SK or G2 going to pick up the Kestrel? In my opinion, it would be a great pick for them because they have the Lyra. The Bulwark helps her survive the Black for the dive, and especially once you have enough weapon power, you're able to activate your trap on command and be able to go invisible to survive him for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised that G2 is even taking this long on this. This seems like a really obvious and a really easy Kestrel pick for them, but maybe thinking because of the fact that this SK didn't ban it away, that they had something else in mind. They're going to go for this Alpha instead. Alpha is one of my favorite junglers on this current update right now. She's able to do so much damage when you go for a crystal build. It's actually obnoxious. It is. Other than the Black Feather, I'd say she might be one of the strongest heroes this update.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that the Churnwalker, however, goes through for SK Gaming, and they go for it immediately. I was gonna say the Catherine Baptiste, the combo was still open, but SK prioritized Churnwalker over it. So the Black Feather at this point can still go into the lane, can still into the jungle. SK trying to round out the composition with something they think they're the strongest with. If I had to guess, I would say the Black Feather will probably go in lane, especially since Kvalifar plays that pick really well. However, in the jungle, as weapon power, it can still play well against the Alpha.
Boy.
The Ozo comes
Look at it. And this is the beauty of Churnwalker, right? The cleave, when you go with something like an Ozo that has so much AoE, and you can get that to hit multiple targets, you can melt through teams. Rona coming out on the other side.
I love update 2.9.
Yeah, this is going to... Look at the composition. All melee. This is going to be a brawl.
It's going to be an absolute brawl. Lyra, the only member that is a ranged hero, and she's not really going to be focusing on the damage being dealt. So it's going to be absolutely hectic in these team fights, and whichever team can manage that, can have that controlled chaos type of style, I think is going to be the team that ends up with an advantage here.
Now, I wouldn't. Someone please explain to me the Ozo and the Rona picks here, because these are not things that we've seen a lot in previous updates. What is the logic to this?
So the Ozo, like you said, with the Churnwalker, you need that AoE damage, you need the durability on the front line to also go in with the Churnwalker. Ozo serves perfectly with that in mind. He goes for the Aftershock. I'm assuming he's going to go CP in the jungle. Goes for the Aftershock, becomes so strong. Healing comes through, and then the Alpha or the Rona on the other hand is just because it's a triple melee composition that they're going up against. So the Rona does really well against that, especially if she's able to red mist on top of all three characters.
All right, so just able to survive in these fights, stick on that front line. It's time to get on into the game. Hashtag Vainglory 8. Let us know whether you think G2 can finish this one 2-0 or if SK are pushing this to a game number 3. It's time to pass it back over to Humanist and Sean Ostino for game number 2.
Well, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, SK Gaming versus G2 Esports. This is game 2. G2 are up 1 in this best of 3 series, and these are some really fun drafts. I'm here with Sean Ostino. Sean, break this down for us a little bit.
Oh my goodness, Humanist. Well, first of all, I'd like to say your boy Ozo, he made it to the fold today while you were casting. Right so you're going to have some fun casting this game. But yeah, Iraqi was just mentioning it. The AoE damage that comes out of Ozo's abilities is going to be really good in synergizing with the Churn Walker that Hegman is playing. That's going to be able to confer a lot more damage as long as we've got at least 3 chains out. Well, any chains, really. Let's get some chains out on the enemy team. We're going to be able to confer 30% of the damage that's coming out, and it's going to be additional because it's AoE damage too, so we're going to have even more damage as well.
I mean, there is an ideal situation, right? 3 chains, 3 acro bounces onto all 3. They probably just pop. Like, I don't know. They might just instantly lose the series if that happens. So I don't know how it really works. I don't know the inner workings.
Well, Alpha might pop because she does have her termination protocol, but if she does, see, that's the thing with her though, is that she has a lot of sustain because she has a really big health bar pretty much. She has 2, sometimes even 3 lives. And then we have Hundor on this Rona, who has a lot of sustain built into his kit with the red mist, right? If he's able to hit multiple targets, he's going to get a barrier or additional barrier for each of those targets at a certain percentage. So it's going to be pretty good sustain as long as he's able to hit a lot of targets.
All right, Hundor, he's there with the foe splitter. Hegman just continues to throw these chains out, allowing DK Volifar to just try and last hit sustain here a bit with his Book of Eulogies early on. This is Ozo in the jungle as well as Dark Potato. Now, Tyrus making his rotation up. That's a Bright Bulwark down. If they can get on target, this is going to be some acro bouncing action. Keanu pops his Healing Flask, 3-ring Circus, 1-2. It's going to take Keanu down low. But Tyrus showing that the threat is there as soon as he makes that rotation up into the lane. They don't get a gank. This does allow Dark Potato to take the Elder Treant.
Yeah, that Carney Luck was actually not with them right there. They were really close to taking out Keanu Nakoa, but he was able to sustain and get away. And now we see a lot of vision being prioritized by both teams now. They don't want to get any of these early level ganks here on the fold. We do see some Eclipse Prison Crystal Bits being picked up by Dark Potato. As we know, and we've been seeing actually, Alpha's been really strong this patch. She's been being able to synergize really well with a lot of the health changes, the low shielding and armor. She's able to get in there with those those gap closers, the prime directives. But sometimes you don't want to be on the leash and that close to a Churn Walker.
You got 2 people on the leash down. Oh, just one. Just kidding. Dark Potato. He's in with the Prime Directive. SK dropping low. Hegman on the front side pops his Healing Flask. Acro bounce 1, 2, 3 on Dark Potato. Dark Potato's going to drop low, but Hundor's already made the rotation. Tyrus low as well. Forced out his own Healing Flask. It was kind of awkward hooking chains early on in that fight there, and just a great job, of course, by Dark Potato to realize he had an opening, get in there with that Prime Directive.
Yeah, it was a really good job, and that's why we did see SK actually egress from the fight. They wanted to get out of there. Alpha's really strong early game, just because she has that. She's able to. She just has so much gap closing ability right now, and not only that, but she's able to do a lot of AoE damage when she comes in with her Prime Directive as well. We do see a Barbed Needle and a Heavy Steel picked up by Hundor. Looks like he's going to be building towards he could potentially be building towards that Serpent Mask there, be able to increase that sustain as this Rona. And we do see what looks like actually a Dragon's Heart is actually built in an Oak Heart as well. And this could be Keanu Nakoa going towards Crucible to be able to get down some of those blocks. And he's going pretty low.
Yep, Tyrus just bouncing up there. I actually kind of like that. You can see the hooks and chains broken there. I kind of like Keanu going for just stacking raw health, because one of the ways he can just survive through the Ozo, his burst is just so high early on. You just have to live through that. He can heal himself right back up. It's actually pretty smart.
Yeah, it's pretty smart. And with Lyra, actually, this patch too, we do see her heal per second up, and the ratio is up as well. So there's a lot of sustain coming out of G2 right now, and it's going to be really tough for them to deal with it. SK is going to have a difficult time here. Serpent's Mask and Crucible now picked up for Hundor and Keanu Nakoa, respectively. So we have some pretty good power spikes here. Not really any tier 3 items picked up for SK yet at all, but they are sitting on a little bit of gold, so they're going to have to wait up for that. Aftershock also picked up for Alpha. That's going to allow Dark Potato to get some really good lifesteal there as well. When he comes in, he's going to get that bonus damage down. Fountain of Renewal picked up, as well as a minion candy for Churnwalker. It looks like he's going to be wanting to push up
Hegman's
this
going to
wave.
face check right into Dark Potato here. G2 collapse down. The acro bounces begin. Hegman dropping low. He's got the hook and chains out, though. They're starting to spread damage. A nice Torment. Tyrus is there. Tyrus has the damage. He's making the plays. K-Evolver chasing down Hundor. But it's Hegman with Tyrus playing games with Dark Potato. Can they take him down? This is K-Evolver trying to take out Hundor. He's got him. That's your first blood. Look at this Churnwalker with the Torment doing work. Dark Potato should go down, and the Acrobounce connects. Freeing Circus, 1, 2. Oh, it's not quite up here. Oh, there it is right in. Tyrus. Maybe my favorite jungler in the world. Just kidding. It's so hard to choose between him and Status.
Oh man, Ozo doing some work here, capitalizing on the trade, going into and taking out that mid, taking out the fronts here as well. The Aftershock on him as well, that's allowing for him to do such good bonus damage and lifesteal. And as we know here, an interesting dynamic between the Aftershock and the high health pools is that you also steal more health as well. You're able to steal more HP points. Sure, the percentage hasn't changed, but you're still able to steal a lot more.
Right.
So as this Ozo, you're able to sustain really well in these team fights.
So much sustain. And look at that clear speed. What an amazing hero. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to harp on it too much. Just a little bit, just enough. Tyrus doing pretty good. SK up 2-1. 7 minutes in here. Both teams just clearing out the jungles. Dark Potato has made his way up towards the lane. There's not really an opportunity for him to take here. Sean, as far as both of these teams, like, when would they ideally like to be fighting?
Well, I think we're going to want to have, well, we already have a lot of the big power spikes. We have Cavalifar at level 7 now. He's able to get that Rose offensive to go in and out, disengage into and disengage away from the team fights, engage in if he wants to. We have Hegman. He's got level 6 as well, so he's going to be able to use that trespass and stun up one of the enemy carries. If he's able to do that, that's going to allow them to just dive in, and we do see a lot of dive potential from both of these teams, actually. It's a very interesting dynamic to have. Hey, we want to dive, and you want to dive, and we have Hegman here wanting to kind of stay on the back line a little bit, maybe reposition, maybe even a little bit more forward to pull some of the enemy carries away from the healing and sustain that Lyra provides. It's going to be a very interesting situation, and here we are at 8 minutes in. 2 kills for the side of SK, and the gold is pretty much even right now, so it would seem we just have a little bit of a stalemate, and we're gonna want to have the side of SK actually go up to late game here. That way we're gonna have a lot of damage coming out of Cavalifar and Tyrus as well on this Ozo.
Nice bait out on the Bright Bulwark there by Tyrus. That's a very long cooldown, and we're talking over 20-second cooldown once that Bulwark is used. I think it's also important to keep in mind that if Ozo has already started bouncing, the Bright Bulwark will not stop him from bouncing. So it kind of feels like that, but as long as he's already started the bounce, not really a problem. We saw that happen once in one fight. He got stopped in the other. But I think the Bulwark, the cooldown could be a large thing to try and fight around here. Cavalifar making a rotation with Tyrus through the jungle, right back up into the lane. Caval doing pretty good, keeping, up as far as the last sitting. He's not taking a lead on Hundor, but he's not really falling behind too far.
They've got their chains on the Lyra right there. It looks like they're diving this turret now.
Yeah, turret taking a whole bunch of damage. Hundor into the fray right there. Gonna look to just clean out these lane minions here. Protect this turret as much as possible. But Dark Potato really starting to come into his own. What do we see Dark Potato go for next item?
Well, it looks like he could be building towards a couple of items here. If he wants to get down a lot of burst, he could go for Spellfire, actually. I would consider that. Torment does come out, but it looks like G2 doesn't want to fight right now. So he could be going towards Spellfire. I could also see him going towards a Shatter Glass as well to be able to get that really high flat damage coming out. But yeah, the Spellfire is going to give him an additional CP damage. So if he builds a lot of CP items, that's going to be a pretty good item for him to pick up as well.
A lot of these fights, a lot of these games where you do see the Ozo picks, his sustain is so good, but a lot of times teams will focus the carry, focus another hero besides him. In this game, does it make sense to be focusing the Black Feather down?
I think it does make sense to focus the Blackfeather, but it's kind of like a pick or choose thing. Like if you focus the Blackfeather, he's slippery. He could Rose defensive away. We do see a trespass
nice
come out.
Torment. They got the stun there. Keanu dropping low. They move forward. Tyrus. Oh, that bright orb was actually perfect. Condor with the red mist trying to sustain there. A bang ring will knock him back. Build acrobatics forward. Oh, he's not onto the target he wants there. The three-ring circus, but he got the healing. Keanu with the perfect arc and passage. Ooh, what are you doing? I can't believe he did it with Cave Volifar. He is so cute with that Rose offensive. Offensive, defensive, making the plays happen. All in those G2's miss, and Dark Potato wants to get in there, wants to play some games, but he doesn't know exactly where to jump into this fight. And honestly, the Alpha just kind of watches as they take down that Lyra.
This is such an interesting game we're having right here, Humus. He wanted to get the Lyra so bad, and she went down so early, but then she was able to get to portal away, able to just run towards the tier 2 turret, but Kvalifar just dove so deep. Now we still have this tier 1 turret pretty low, but it hasn't gone down yet. Kvalifar wants a little piece of the action, but he's gonna, oh, the Prime Directive!
Well, he's gonna get some of that action. Dark Potato hits him with that Prime Directive from downtown. Then you can see the damage is pretty real there. And he did go for the Dragon's Eye.
He went for the Dragon's Eye. Interesting pickup. So that's going to allow him to stack that, to get those stacks, and he's going to be able to do a lot more CP damage as opposed to burst damage. So he has to stay in these team fights. As long as he's staying in these team fights, which we can see an Alpha do because of her sustain, because of her long life bars, right? Multiple lives.
Yeah.
She could potentially do a lot of damage with this Dragon's Eye. It's a very interesting pickup for me to see. We do see an infusion actually picked up by Rona. Looks like Hundor probably wants to fight here. A breaking point picked up by Kvalifar. So he's going to be able to get a pretty good power spike out of that, and as long as he stays in these team fights. Whew.
Yeah, G2, very aggressive positioning here. Tyrus playing games. Oh, look at that. 531 damage. What's going on? Acro bouncing around, clearing out the wave here, just buying time for Kvalifar to make his way back out from the base. On points landed. Kvalifar has a breaking point, Sorrow Blade, and Poison Shiv now. This Blackfeather's ready to truck some people.
Yeah, he's ready to truck.
In, on to 3, Aqua Bounce begins, where it's gonna be on to Alpha. No termination protocol.com, Dark Potato, what were you thinking? That's not the play. Now Hundor into the frame, right back in with the big ring. Oh, you done goof, Rona. You made a mistake and you paid for it. The Ozo bringing the pain train home. Tyrus, Hegman, Kvalifar, they take the turret as well. SK up 5-1.
The pain train. It is going down south. That turret goes down, rotation comes out from SK. They're going to take what they really need here in this game. They already have a couple thousand gold lead here in this, but they're going to increase it even further, getting themselves 1,200 gold right there. Not to mention the gold that they picked up from that turret that went down. Oh man, they're starting to gain some momentum here in the game, and we're actually at 5 kills to 1 so far, 13 minutes in. It's a pretty low-scoring game so far, Humanist, and only one major objective, that turret, is off the map for G2. Oh man, things need to come back onto the front foot here for G2 if they're going to be able to take this series 2-0.
Yeah, it definitely will, but I mean, they have a composition, I think, that can kind of catch you by surprise with the amount of damage that it can actually do. Sometimes it just takes a Rona living through just with a sliver of health, life stealing right back up, stacking that breaking point and going to town. But right now, SK look really good. I like Tyrus going for the Broken Myth second item, gets a little bit of CP, a little bit of piercing, and the natural damage is so high that it just really fits well, I think, with this Ozo.
Yeah, it does, and we actually don't see that much shielding on the side of G2. There's a little bit of engage, but it just looks like they're just poking. A lot of chains coming out.
Yep, Hegman keeps Hundor chained up, looking for the second, and he just waddles his way forward. The Churnwalker. Tyrus looking for a target there in the backside. Oh, the Trespass, they find the stun. They're in there. The Atlas Pauldron actually landed onto G2. SK having a great fight. The Termination Protocol not procced off one more time. They're going to take the Alpha, the second life. Kvalifar dropping low. The Acro Bounce is back. All right, we're looking for you, Ozo. Ozo making the plays. But look at the sustain. Hundor's doing it. Hundor's getting the breaking points. Tyrus is going to go down here. G2 have flipped it around. This is exactly what we were talking about. The sustain, the huge damage, 20 breaking point stacks, and GG for Rona.
And it's a damn shame that we cannot see how many Dragon's Eye stacks that Dark Potato has on him. I'm sure it's a lot because he was able to sustain so much. Sure, he was down and doing his infinite reboot for a bit, but coming back into the fight, being able to just keep going. If she didn't have those extra lives, then that fight would have went the way of SK. But because Alpha was able to get back up and continue to output damage, there was just so much work being done for her. Let's go ahead and take a look at the replay while they take the Kraken. Oh man, it looks things were just going so bad for them in a way. Dark Potato infinite rebooted, went in with a prime directive, and just annihilated Cavalifar.
They
Focused
split their
the
focus,
target.
right?
Yeah, it was good focus actually. And then after that, they only had to worry about Churnwalker, who's lumbering away on those platform shoes of his.
I mean, honestly, I'm saying it was bad focus in my opinion. We'll see. We can go back to that.
Focus.
I think SK, they missed focus. They focused the Alpha and, of course, the Rona. Rona spinning in the red mist there. K-Vol are dropped low as well. Applied that Atlas Pauldron on point lands. Acro Bounce does begin. Tyrus doing a pretty good job there. K-Vol forced to use his boots and get out of there. Oh, the Prime Directive from across the map. What is this? One shot, one kill from Dark Potato here. Unbelievable. Oh, he gets the longest one I've ever seen. Dark Potato. My god, Dark Potato has like a buff on this Prime Directive, man.
Just diving in so much. No fear from Dark Potato here. Dark Potato does not seem like a potato. He's a spicy potato.
Oh, ooga, ooga. Are G2 about to actually do this? Are G2 about to make the legendary plays that they needed? And the biggest potential series maybe of G2's Vainglory lives? If they put SK down here, Sean, I mean, we're talking about such a huge swing in momentum of the overall point standings in Europe. What a power shift would occur if G2 can put SK down without giving them 1 point in the series here today. It would be so huge for this G2 squad.
Yeah, this would be really huge. Here, let's take a look at the replay, Humanist. So we actually had them pushing, continuing to push. We slow it down here just a little bit. From across the map, just like you were talking about, Cavalifar, 700-something damage just taken away from the fold, and he's going to have
Look at
a
this.
lot of respawn. Oh, my goodness. Oh, the next one right there. Going so deep, and they weren't able to finish him off. But really, this Alpha Dark Potato really doing a number on SK.
I mean, SK, it felt like they had strong control of this game. Some things have shifted here. I think a little bit of a power shift on the map is now G2 kind of feel like they might have a little bit of control themselves, and I don't even know how SK want to approach this next fight. I mean, Sean, what would you think?
Oh man, I feel like they've got to not, just like you were talking about earlier, they can't focus. It's interesting because you want to focus the high damage output of this Alpha, right? But if you focus her, she has pretty much 2 or 3 lives. Hundor needs to be focused as well because he's able to sustain and do so much damage with these red mists into the phrase, getting in there. He's got a Sora Blade, Serpent's Mask, Breaking Point. The Breaking Point stacks are going to stack up so quickly with the red mist. So it's really difficult to prioritize who you want to take out. I would say take out Hundor. If you're able to take him out, then the rest of G2 is going to fall. But this is a really precarious situation, and I feel like they have just taken too long. And because SK has taken too long to push this game, G2 is just taking over. We have infusions being popped up across the board. Cavalfar's got himself an infusion. Looks like we have infusions all across the board for G2.
G2 fully infused as they take control of the middle area of the map here. Flares come out from SK as G2 clear out scout traps. This is going to be a fight for the Kraken. SK fighting to destroy G2's hopes at Worlds. Of course, they take another game in the series. But we will get into that later. G2, come on! This is some hype moment right now. You can make the plays. Look at the poke coming from Cavalifar on point down into the brush. Flares are out. G2 just making sure that they have vision over that tri-brush. They will not be ambushed here. This is such a close game, Sean. 6-5. We're approaching the 20-minute mark of the game. Net worth incredibly even. These teams stacking up against each other so well. K-Vol, the on-points, Hegman trying to land the hook and chains from range. Tyrus waiting for that perfect acro bounce, bang ring, 3-ring circus combo.
Oh, there's the engage.
Is there a Arcade Passage in! Keanu's there with the Bright Borg. Look at the red mist just start to spin all over SK. Tyrus dropping low. K Volivar dancing around. K Volivar trying to find the damage, but there's way too much sustain coming out. G2, they cannot be killed. SK are falling like flies. G2 are doing it. G2 moving forward into the fray. Prime Directive, core charges, whatever you want. Throw it in the sink. G2's got it. They got the ace. They can do whatever they want. They can push in for the win and take this series 2-0 against SK and completely shift things here in the EU, depending on what happens tomorrow, of course. But this, an incredible stand for G2 Esports.
What an incredible stand. The guys, the underdogs here in this fight, just continuing to do so much work, impressing us. The Dark Potato doing it, getting impressive in these team fights. Wow, what a game. And G2 is going into the semifinals tomorrow. What a game, Humanist.
What a phenomenal game. That's unbelievable. I mean, Tyrus played out of his mind in this Ozo. It was really nice to see that he's actually been practicing a lot. You could tell Hagman making the Churnwalker work. K Volivar felt a little flat on this Black Feather. If I had to